Okay, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm going to run down pronouns real quick. So here's what's going to happen is I'm going to go through it really quick. Be sure and check out any links that I've sent out about pronouns that you can review. Usually be like a list and definitions. We have resources in the classroom. And just Googling in general might help you. But I'm going to run through these so you know what we talked about in class. So first up is subject and object pronouns. As we get to a different kind of pronoun each time, I'll say on to something else. And that way, we'll move the camera around a little bit. And so if you have to re-watch a part 2 or 3 times, and then you move on to a new part, you can see that it's changing as we go through this. So hopefully you can, if you have to fast forward, you'll know where to stop. Subject and object pronouns. Now, by now we've talked about things like direct objects, indirect objects, predicate nominatives, predicate adjectives. Those are key to helping us with this, as well as subjects and verbs in general, so we know what to do with these. Subject pronouns include words like I, she, he, it, and who. Okay, object is me, her, him, it, whom. So the question is, how do we know when to use these? Sentences like me am smart is not really acceptable in most, pretty much anywhere in America. It would be I am smart. And the question is it because it sounds good? No. The answer is no, because too many people where we live will use pronouns incorrectly, and we do the same thing because that's what we hear. I do the same thing. So there's going to be some things that don't sound natural to you, but grammatically are correct. So direct objects, when we use the object, we use that for, get this, direct objects, indirect objects, and objects of the preposition. Do you hear the word object? So that's when we use it for. And we go through our questions. What kind of verb do we have? Action. So it can't be predicate, nominative, or adjective. It has to be a direct object if there's something. The car hit what? Her. That's a direct object, so we use her, not she. Some people might want to sound fancy and say the car hit she, and that would be incorrect because by rule, not by sound, by rule, that is a direct object. We use objective case. She threw him the ball. We have an action verb threw. She threw what? Ball. That's a direct object, not him. Ball, direct object. She threw the ball to whom or what? Him, indirect object. We use the objective case. Not she threw he the ball, because it's not a subject case. It is an objective case. He was a cat. Linking verb was, but what we're looking at is the subject. So the subject of the sentence, we use subject verbs. He, not him, was a cat. Now, it gets a little more complicated with linking verbs because, like, if we see a sentence that says the thief is she, what we need to ask ourselves is, what is this functioning as? We have a linking verb, no direct object, indirect object. Cannot be objective case because of those. There's no preposition, to, for, from, those kind of words. Okay, so what does this function as? Linking verb, predicate nominative, renames the subject. So if you have a predicate nominative renaming the subject, we use the subject case, she. This doesn't sound natural probably for where we live, right? The thief is her is what we would expect. But actually, think about it this way. Can we flip the sentence with a linking verb? We should be able to pretty much flip the sentence. She is the thief. That definitely makes sense. So, the big hang up with these usually comes with who and whom. Who is subject case. Whom is object. Notice, to whom did they throw that? Okay? The action is being directed at this word, so we use whom. When the action is directed at a word, we use whom. If it is the subject of the sentence or predicate nominative, however that might work, we use who. So who for the subject or predicate nominative, whom the rest of the time. Pardon me. So, let's move on, something new. We're going to take a look at personal pronouns. I'm sorry for the glare on the board if you can't really see. Excuse me. Personal pronouns. First person in a personal pronoun is the speaker, the person saying something. Second person in the personal pronouns is the one being spoken to. That's going to be some form of you. So if I am speaking and I refer to myself, I, me, us, we, first person. I'm the first person talking to you, the second person. Second, you. Third person is an outsider. That is a person telling the story or talking about people who aren't involved. They're not the one that's involved, and the person they're talking to is not involved. So third person's the outsider. Drew a diagram. First person speaking, I, me, us, we, those kind of words. That's first person. Second person is going to use the word you. To the big-eared kid, it's talking directly to him. You. Third person is talking about them, not using I or you or anything like that. Interrogative pronouns. Told you we're going to move fast. Ask questions. What, where, when, etc. The only thing you need to be careful of is the words that are used with it. How many is going to be countable. Like you have how many rocks? You could count 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 20 rocks. Much is used for quantity. Well, not even quantities, groups. So like how much sand is in your pocket? You can't count that. It's just like, an idea of the volume or the mass of what you're talking about. How big of a group. And how often is used for time periods. These two get mixed up, much and often. Like how much do you go to the movies? No, how often do you go to the movies is the correct question. Anyway, interrogative pronouns, not too bad. They ask questions. All right, singular, plural, and possessive pronouns. Singular is 1. Plural is 2. Possessive, not 3. Plural is 2 or more. Possessive is ownership. Ours, mine, theirs, his, hers, its. Just be careful if it is right next to a word that it's talking about. Like if it says, let's see, oh gosh. So that is its ball. Its will be describing the ball. That's an adjective instead. But when it stands on its own, that is its, then that would be a pronoun. So just know the difference between adjective and pronoun. If it comes right there with a noun, it's probably an adjective instead of a pronoun. By the way, also notice that the possessive form of all these pronouns do not have apostrophes. Its does not have an apostrophe unless it is saying it is. That's a verb. That's not possessive. So possessive does not have an apostrophe. Demonstrative pronouns, this, that, these, those. Just know that this and these is close. All right? These are my words. Those are Mr. Weatherford's words on the board, right? So just know the difference between near and far. And then also, these can function as adjectives. So if I say this finger is mine, that noun came right with it. This finger is mine. When the noun is right there with it, that is an adjective. If I just say this is mine, and there's no noun to go with it, this is mine, that is a pronoun. All right, something new. Let's go. We have talked about first, second, third person, subject or object, pronoun antecedent. Just make sure the antecedent agrees in number and gender. Okay? He went to the store, she bought some milk, does not jive. He went to the store, they bought some milk, does not jive because it's too many to go with the one that we're talking about. So just know that. Singular, plural, and possessive we talked about. Demonstrative we've talked about. Indefinite, that's the one, every, no, thing, body, one kind of words. Nobody, anything, somebody, someone. It's just in general. If I say he went to the store, that's specific. Somebody went to the store is not. That's why it's called indefinite. That's just pretty easy to know. Reflexive and intensive. Those are the self pronouns. Himself, herself, itself, yourself, ourselves, those sort of things. The difference is, the main difference is that if it is reflecting action back to the subject, the Grinch loathes himself, that's reflecting the loathing back to the Grinch, that is reflexive. Now, if it's intensive, that's like intense, powerful. So intensive is with a noun. So Bob himself, it adds emphasis. It makes it more intense. Not just Bob will win the game, but if he's really the one to win the game, Bob himself will win the game. Okay? If you're upset and you want to say that you're going to be the one to fix this problem, I myself will fix this problem, you say with a lot of intensity. So there's a whole lot about pronouns. This took 10 minutes, but it went really fast on each section. So I would recommend one by one, you look at these guys and decide, do I have this part down? If not, replay it, try it again, see if it makes sense, compare it with some other materials, and let it help you in that way. So good luck. Pronouns, for the most part, make sense by sound. Just be careful to know the rule because that's going to be important later on. Just like with indirect and direct objects, predicate and nominatives. That stuff on its own, maybe, but it's important because now it's helping us with the correct form of pronouns to use. So good luck from me, first person pronoun, to you, the second person pronoun. Hope we smoke all of them, the third person pronoun.